Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Korra Book 3 news update video. I'm going to talk a bit at the end of this video about future video plans, stuff I'm going to be doing, mainly avatar videos and some other stuff. But for now, I'll get straight into the news. First thing to mention is, I'm not sure if I've mentioned both of these things, but ratings for the last 4 episodes of Korra. Night of a Thousand Stars, episode 11, and Harmonic Convergence, episode 12, got about 1.8 million. Obviously, they aired together, so 1.8 million, which was a drop of about I think 4 from the previous week, which, it was a bit odd, definitely, but it's still reasonably high for Friday night. Then the finale itself, obviously, 13 Darkness Falls or 14 Light in the Dark got just about 2.1 million viewers, so it went up 0.3, which is actually pretty impressive considering this aired online before it aired on TV, so for it to actually go up ratings from the week before is actually really impressive. And the obvious question to take from this is that ratings maybe aren't as high as expected for Nick and for us. What are Nick going to do with Book 3? Now, I think given that they've made the choice to put it on Friday, I think they're going to have to keep Book 3, when Book 3 is going to come out, they have to put it on Friday. Now, all they have to do is just keep the same time slot. Put it on at 8, so you leave the space open to have a 2-part episode if you need to. Don't put it on at like 8:30, so then you have to stop before 9. 8, so you can do 2 parts if you need to. And that should be fine for them. We're not going to have as long of a wait for Book 2 as we had for Book 3 as we had for Book 2. So, there shouldn't be too much of a problem there. But, it ultimately comes down to, like, how much do Nick really care about the ratings drop? And for the most part, you have to say that it was their fault. Because they're the ones who switched the time around for the most part. And so them putting the final episodes up online shows that they, I suppose, are getting away from caring too much about TV ratings, because TV ratings are down across the board. They don't mean as much as they used to, because at the end of the day, it's a really kind of odd system when you actually look into how it's done. Nielsen ratings, certain TVs in America have these kind of Nielsen boxes or something like that, and they count towards the TV ratings, and then they take an average of that, like, okay, of the percentage of people that have Nielsen boxes, 25% watch this, and then they work that out off the number of people who actually have TVs with certain channels and stuff like that. It's weird. And so with less and less people, more and more people, getting rid of their cable and stuff like that and moving to digital, Nielsen ratings just are meaning more and more less than they used to. And no one, it definitely shouldn't mean as much as they should, because Nick realised that, put the episode up online, and really, if we're looking for a number, Nick should be adding together their Nielsen ratings, their TV ratings, plus the number of people who view the episodes online when they put them up, like over the course of, say, the first weekend it goes up, plus the number of iTunes sales and other places that sell the episodes, like Amazon Instant and stuff like that. That should be what they kind of put out there, include the kind of online fandom and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, what good is it if the show gets like 5 million viewers on its premiere, but no one talks about it online again, compared to, say, the show getting 2 million every week, but it's talked about online for ages. And I think Nick realised that it's better to have people talking for longer about the show than just one-off instant high numbers. And then you have to say that, at least from my perspective, one of the biggest factors in the reason that maybe Korra didn't get as high numbers is because Nick did really nothing else to support the show other than what they kind of presented to us. There's been zero merchandising for this show. Like, there's no Korra merchandise they can advertise at all. So there's nothing drawing people towards the show that is not like adverts on Nickelodeon and stuff on Nickelodeon. You're not going to walk into a toy shop and see Korra stuff and go, okay, I'm going to watch the show whenever it airs. That's not the case anymore, because there is no merchandise, and the little bit of merchandise that there is not advertised. Like, they're not going to advertise the Korra art book on the channel. The most they'll say will probably be the DVD, and I don't even know if they've advertised that. There's the art book. There's a couple of the junior novels, but that's the stuff they're not going to advertise. They need to bring in a toy line that would get more kids involved. That would bring ratings up. But for some reason they haven't, and I think they've missed out on making a lot of money off this show. Because I think the fandom out there is kind of crazy enough about this show that they would put money down and buy that sort of stuff to support the show, because we want visual representations of our favorite characters. Hint, hint, hint. Visual representation of our favorite characters from games and TV shows. It's like Transformers Prime. Hello, but I can't do the same for Korra. You could sort of do the same for Avatar, but the toy line wasn't done correctly. But that's the sort of stuff they should be doing. Where's their video game? Where's all this sort of stuff? There's still 2 books left, and I think they really need to, if they want this show to be a huge success, they need to merchandise the show. Look at Turtles out there. It's getting similar ratings to Korra, but the key thing is that it's got this place on the shelves where people can go in, and even outside of the show, people are aware of it. And Korra, it's got a huge online presence, but it's hardcore fandom and stuff like that. There's nothing like toy based, trading card game based that like gets people into it in a kind of more kind of fun point of view. But that's just my perspective on the ratings and stuff like that. I probably went into too much detail, but I really think the show needs to merchandise to make it a huge success and make it like one of Nick's best shows. But I'll move on. There's been a little bit more book 3 news. Just a few little bits. You can tell from the interviews that Mike and Brian are not really in a position where they want to or are not allowed to say anything huge about book 3. So we obviously got that the book is named Change. We know that that's because of the crazy stuff that happened at the end of book 2. The world has changed. Portals are open. Spirits are allowed into the human world and vice versa. And that's why it's called Change, because the world is going to have to deal with this, and Korra is going to have to kind of help the world deal with this too. But other stuff we got is that Boomy's going to be a pretty... what did they say? There's going to be a lot of Boomy in book 3. Now I don't know what exactly that means. Is that he's going to have a character arc, or is it just like book 2 where he's going to be in it a lot and they're giving him a little character arc? So I'm assuming maybe you'll get a little more of him. He's going to be still retired. He seems to get on well with that one spirit, Boomju. Maybe he'll have that sort of connection or something like that. And then the only other thing they said is that book 3 takes place a few weeks after the end of book 2. So while we had, I think, a 6-month break between book 1 and book 2, this is only a few weeks, and that makes sense. The best way to show the change in the Avatar world is to show it just in the early days of that happening. So a few weeks obviously gives a chance for spirits to come into the human world and vice versa, and maybe get an instant reaction to have people gone missing, have spirits been affecting things, and so on. So that's a really nice idea, I think, and it's going to make for a kind of action-packed opening in that we'll probably see Korra dealing with spirits the second we kind of come into book 3. But for the most part, that's been it. They've again said that, they're much further along in production now than they were at the end of book 2, at the end of book 1 with book 2, and they're already on post-production on like some of the early episodes, so that's really good. One thing I'll mention as a kind of talking point would be when book 1 ended, we had San Diego Comic-Con the month after it ended. Like a few weeks later, we were into San Diego Comic-Con, and we had an update about who the new book 2 characters are. That's not the case this time around, because Comic-Con's not until like June, July 2014. That's a long way away now. So when are we actually going to get our big information kind of dump of news? Our big kind of, here's the general like perspective on book 3. Here's some of the new characters, roughly what it's going to be about. When's that going to happen? Because since they've said that it's not going to take as long, that actually puts the show more than likely airing some point just before San Diego Comic-Con or just after Comic-Con, or like maybe we'll get the premiere at Comic-Con. I'm not really sure, but either way, it's it's just interesting to see kind of what's going to happen. I assume Coronation, now that they're back and there's not a big delay, will be doing a lot of coverage about book 3, because phase 1 of Coronation ends on the 1st of December, so I'm assuming that they'll start phase 2 at some point after that, and maybe they'll have some book 3 news with that, but uh, that's the big thing. When are we going to get that news update? It'll probably be just some news post we find out sometime early 2014, but I'm not really that sure. I suppose final thing I'll mention in terms of news is just a little breakdown on some of the upcoming releases. As I was saying, nothing coming out for Christmas, for the Christmas period, which I think is a huge shame. Really just, I don't know what they're doing. But there is a lot of stuff coming out in early 2014. First and foremost will be the first of the book 2 Spirits junior novelizations. Part 1 of that will be out, I think, January 7th. Then on February 5th we have the Search hardcover, the comic series, obviously, the Search about Zuko's mother. 3-part, hardcover collection with extras out on February 5th. March 5th we have the Rift Part 1, the start of the next comic series coming out. And then I think it's July 1st we have the Korra How to Draw book. And then we'll be expecting stuff like the book 2 DVD Blu-ray set, the book 2 Spirits art book at some point, I suppose around the middle of the year or something like that. I assume Solicitations will be coming up sometime really early 2014. We'll find out when it's coming out, but that's just the update there. Now, some stuff about my YouTube channel I want to mention. Obviously I haven't had many Avatar videos since the end of book 2, but I will be coming back and doing a kind of book 2 in review video later on. I like to give myself a chance to kind of, I suppose, take a break after the initial just craziness of the book ending, and then come back to it like a month or two later, just do a complete series rewatch and give my perspective on the show just as a thing, as opposed to the whole excitement around it first airing. So there'll be that review coming down the line, as well as a podcast on it as well. But you'll obviously be aware that I just put out the first of my kind of big videos about the trading card game series I'm doing. So for the next week or two, I'm not going to do too many videos in addition to these Korra news update videos and the Turtles reviews. It'll just be those two as well as the card videos. But they'll be I should have all the card videos done within 2-3 weeks. So I'll be back to other Avatar stuff. And what I'm planning to do is book 2 episode commentaries, which I'll be recording and stuff like that. Maybe I'll get back around to doing Avatar The Last Airbender character profiles. I think the only one I have out right now is Suki, but I will be getting around to maybe some of the other characters at some point as well. But yeah, so I'll have other videos like that coming out about Korra and stuff like that as well. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to mention. And then, because I won't be having as many Korra videos for the next few weeks, I'm just going to mention again, I do a podcast, an Avatar podcast. I'm the main host. It's for the site, and it's called the Avatar Online Podcast. It's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher. You can find it on AvatarTheLastAirbenderOnline.com. And we do between 1 and 2 shows every week. It's just, most of the time it's just 1 show a week. But just because we've been really focused on Korra, we've tried to do other kind of shows as well. But this Sunday coming up will be the final Korra roundtable of the season. We're finally going to get around to discussing the last episode of Korra, so 214 Light in the Dark. We're going to discuss that. As I mentioned before, we'll come back in probably around February and do a kind of book 2 Spirits in Review podcast. And then also, most importantly, I think right now, Book 2 Spirits Awards are going on the site. You can just link in the description below, vote in them. Deadline's December 6th, and we'll have the results out on a podcast on December 8th. And they're always fun podcasts because we get together, we discuss, a few of the people on the site, myself included, get together on Skype, we record it, and we just talk about, what we all voted for in each of the categories, and then we reveal what the winner was, and we discuss, why it won, why we think it's maybe something else was deserving of it, and so on, and we go through all the awards that way. It's just a really fun show, very different than the other podcast we do. And then of course the other podcast we'll do when we get out of the kind of called Korra type thing is just regular episodes. We're up to around, I think 72 is coming on Saturday. And what we do is mainly it's an Avatar The Last Airbender episode discussion. The one we're doing at the weekend is The Earth King. We choose the episodes randomly, and we only, at this stage, we only have a few left. I think about 5 or 6 episodes left. So we obviously The Earth King at the weekend, and then after that it'll probably be the 107, Winter Solstice Part 1, Spirit World. And then we'll be getting into the kind of end of each book and stuff like that. But that's just all I wanted to mention. Even though I probably won't have as that much Korra and Avatar content on my YouTube channel for the next few weeks, I do a podcast, and that's content every week for the on Avatar that I do. So definitely check that out if you want me to hear me and others discussing this stuff. But thanks for watching this video, and bye.